notes, running around like a champ, man. And we're going to be going live. Welcome to Tragedy Academy, a show created to bridge societal divides in a judgment-free zone using candor and humor. We are here today with Ryan McCarthy. How you doing today, Ryan?
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, man. The One Talk podcast. Gary's here. What's going on, brother?
How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Living the dream.
Nice.
Caroline is here
tomorrow.
as well. She's playing around with the cameras, getting the live up and running, saying hello to people. We've been talking to you for a while. I know Caroline was corresponding with you quite a bit on Instagram as well. And I've been looking through a lot of your clips, and we seem to have some kind of brotherhood here that we've created from across the world.
Most definitely.
Why don't you tell us where you're from and what you're working on?
So currently I live in Brisbane in Queensland, Australia. And my whole passion and mission in life is to help people reach their potential or to help them get to a stage where they want to get to in life, whether that's mental health and mindset, more so in those aspects. So over the last 5 years, I've worked in community aspects. I've run programs. I currently run and facilitate programs in schools in the community for the youth and trying to help them stay on a good path. And then also I have the One Talk podcast, which I've been doing since February 2021. So about 2.5 years now. And the purpose of the podcast was just to be able to give the world free information, free resources, free value so they can adopt that into their own lifestyle and see if they can make a change just from the information that I provide from interviewing guests. So that's basically myself, what I'm doing now, and One Talk in a nutshell. But there is a long story behind the why behind all that. But yeah, that's why One Talk has become where it's at.
Well, I mean, that's why we're here. We brought you on to hear what made you cross that threshold and give back as your profession, because a lot of people don't cross that threshold. They stay on the other side, fulfilling somebody else's dreams. And then when you step across that line, you start fulfilling your own dream and seeing other people's come to fruition in its path. So I would love to hear how you made that leap and where you're at now, what you're trying to do.
So yeah, so the reason why I made the leap is because I'm originally from Liverpool, England, and I moved to Australia when I was young. But when I moved to Australia, I didn't have any family really here, so there's no guidance for me. So now at the age of
Mm.
11, I got addicted to drugs, and then I was abusing drugs from the age of 11 till 18 when I eventually got sober. But
Jesus.
the path from 11 till 18 was just numbness because I think around the age 11, that's when you start becoming very conscious of your own emotions to a certain sense. It's when you really start thinking a bit more deeper level than you would
Mm.
before then. But I never got to that
It's when you
stage.
start tasting your soup, Gary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So then,
It's been seasoned for that first 7 or 8, and then suddenly you've got to dip the spoon in there and see what made you. And it isn't always going to be, a nice broccoli and cheddar from Panera.
nah, it's not always what you want usually.
100%.
But then at the age of 18 is when I decided to get sober from drugs. But that's when I first started feeling things like depression, anxiety, stress, because before then I was able to
Mm.
numb any feelings that came up. So from 18 to 20 was probably the biggest battle of my life, trying to find ways to cope with all these emotions and feelings and thoughts that were coming up. Because before then, I didn't even know what depression was. I didn't even know what anxiety was. All I knew was just abusing drugs really and just living that lifestyle. So then at the age of 20, I was able to start finding strategies to overcome the battles I was facing. And the main one was getting to the gym and exercising. That was my first savior because within the gym, I was able to find a mentor who was able to guide me and keep me on a path and also someone to keep me consistent as well. And then through that path, it made me really passionate to help people in the position I was in. I really wanted to help people who thought there was no purpose to life. I really wanted to help people that thought that
Mm.
I might not see tomorrow. And I really want to help those people to show them that there is a tomorrow and there is hope and there is a purpose and just helping people get on that path and find out who they truly are, but also find out why they're here on this earth. And also, just helping people live a life that they can reflect back on when they're old and be proud of themselves. So that's why I'm very passionate. That's why when people ask me, do you get tired from the work that you do? I always say no, because it fills my cup up so much. But yeah, that's why I do it. And
Yep.
that's why I love it.
I heard a saying before that was, I can't give back to you until my cup runs over. They say my cup runs over.
Mm.
Till my cup runs over, you don't get any. And the reason why I say that is because you're no good to anyone until you're complete yourself. When you found that ability to relieve so much stress and find harmony within yourself working out, I like to think of it like a wet towel. If I handed you a dish towel or a washcloth and I filled it with water or I rubbed it around in something dirty, I use this analogy with yoga too and stuff like that when I'm trying to explain it because people can't really wrap their heads around what is actually happening. It's not stretching, it's taking your body and metaphorically, as if you were that towel, wringing out all of that stress, all of those emotions, all of those things that are stagnant in your system. You get the opportunity to grab it, wring it out. And of course, it's going to go back out there and reabsorb shit. You better be used to that. But if you constantly wring out your towel, you can still go out and clean shit up and live life. And just like any other towel, periodically, you're going to have to go back and bleach the shit out of it. You're going to have to sit back and take care of it. Your towel's no good. Your counter looks like shit.
It's true. It makes sense because you got to fill up your own cup first. And that's why along the path of finding these ways to overcome challenges, I couldn't just rely on the gym. There has to be multiple aspects I can implement in a
Mm-mm.
day-to-day life because if I go to the gym, that's like an hour and a half out the day. What about the other 15 hours I'm awake? So that's when I became very interested in breath work and meditation. And those two practices are very much in my life
Mm,
daily because breath work is something you can do anywhere, anytime.
same.
And also meditation, it's just a way to help you detach emotions from thoughts and really just observe your thinking processes, your thinking patterns, and really think outside the box. Like, all right, what am I doing at the moment? Is it serving me? Is it not serving me? And you're able to really
Mm.
identify certain thought patterns that come up as well.
I agree with you 100%. Actually, Gary and I talk about meditation quite a bit. He has methods with which he relieves his stress, and they're not the traditional sense in which I myself I do breath work as well, and I do a daily meditation where I start my day out that way, and that's honestly what put me on the edge of change. Once I had taken that time to sit down for a while, much like you're explaining, it allows you to see the fallacies in reality, in that most every single emotion that you feel is a choice. And it is tied to a past interaction that you're using to protect you in some way from it rehappening again. And you won't realize that. You'll just repetitively revisit these issues. And I've come to the conclusion that much like breath work, everything is cyclical. And I feel like we're actually presented with these opportunities to change ourselves over and over and over again. And if you find yourself knocking on the same door every single time, rather than back up and run away, you might want to look and see if you possibly have the key in your pocket because you likely do. And it's been there the whole time. You just don't want to go through the door. There's a big difference.
100%. It's like success, like if you look at success, it's all defined individually between all of us. But a lot of people think success is an external thing that we have to chase. A lot of the time, success is already within us. We just have to move the stuff out of the garage and find it within our own garage to identify where it is and then build on that and maybe polish it if it needs polishing or find ways to make it evolve. But we all kind of get too focused on the external and we need to realize that we need to focus more on the internal when we actually want to understand ourselves more.
I definitely
Believe it,
agree with
Gary.
that. I think he had something on his Instagram that said something about doubt killing more dreams than failure or something like that. And that's like
Mm,
something I talk about a lot. And we talk about that a lot on the show and in general, just like, Jay will always say like your mind is a liar. It's gonna fucking lie to you. And like
it's
it,
designed to.
you think people around you will tell you, he can't do that. He'll never be this, like, because they don't have faith in themselves or any dreams of their own. And people will tell you, you're just from a kid from so and so, or you're just a guy from over here, a girl from there. Like, you'll never do this, that, or the other thing.
Means nothing.
You know, it's cliche, like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, or there's a million ways
So
to
true.
say the shit. But at the end of the day, like, I want to be on my deathbed, like, not regretting things that I did that I didn't do, like, hey,
Mm,
I gave it a go at all the shit that I wanted to at least try. I lost a lot of those fights, but at least I got in them because worst thing, we talk about this a lot too, is just like your life just goes by with that 9 to 5 working for the weekend. You never,
mm.
you're like, you're okay, you're content, but you're not really ever happy. And, it's just
Pleasantly
like,
blinded.
yeah, like that's the kind of thing that I don't want, I'd rather fucking go out in a ball of flames than like slowly peter out
Mm.
the next 30 years, So
With yourself, Gary.
also, I
Oh,
see you
sorry.
got a lot of Nipsey Hussle stuff too.
Yeah, Nipsey Hussle.
So you got a lot of Nipsey Hussle stuff around. That guy's, he didn't get the credit when he was alive for what an actual like philosopher he was. And
Agreed.
I actually got to meet and have a meeting with him about a year before he passed. It was short, but the guy was, when you're around certain types of people that have a presence that you can't like really describe, just like,
Mm.
you know,
Larger than life,
yeah, just the way people are around him and like
and
people
not
hung on every word.
egotistically.
Yeah. He was a guy that was special. And about a lot of conspiracy theories about his murder, like being more than it was, because the guy could have made some real change and started to, and then all of a sudden they take him out,
The whole
like,
Dr. Sebi stuff.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
there's a lot to it, but he was, we talked a lot about just
Often,
opportunity,
yeah.
and just like you could find your own lane and be successful. Like he was talking about, people always told me like to be successful, I had to go to this white record label and do it their way and go and follow somebody up the path, like their own path. And no one ever said like, stay where you're at or do it your way. And like, there's there's a road to success there. And the guy was just wise beyond his years. And he just, I come from a different gang that he does, that we should be like arch rivals. And I know a lot of people are like that with him. And he's one of the people that gets a pass. He would wear red and none of the Crips would care, or he would be in an all blood neighborhood in the middle of war and like they wouldn't bother him. Like he was just like, he's one of his own guys that ended up taking him out. But he was one of those people that got so much respect that just,
He became a lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
He stayed unto himself so much that he became an example for others, and it didn't matter what he was wearing. I was going to say authenticity breeds hate.
yeah.
If you find that you're being yourself and you're making strides in your life, people will hate you for simply being what they won't muster up in themselves to do, or up inside themselves. If they're not willing to do it themselves, it's easier to hate you. And someone like Nipsey Hussle, if he's authentic, if he's himself every day, he's going to create the hate. And he's also going to set an example for the people that see that he's being real.
Yeah.
The true people who look up to him will look up to him for who he is. The other people will come up with reasons to hate him.
Yeah, 100%. And like, if you know much of Nipsey Hussle's music, like if you remember his music video for Last Time I Checked with YG, it was like one side of the set was blue and the other side was red. They ended up mixing over and dapping each other up and
Mm.
just showing that respect. But I think a lot of it comes down to like Nipsey was so sure of himself. He was so sure of his mission. So he just oozed confidence and people just like instantly just trusted him because he just poured that energy out of him. Like, 'cause he was just so sure of
He believed himself.
100%. Then when you believe in yourself and you hold that energy, you possess that energy within you, a lot of people end
Boom.
up just instantly trust you, they respect you, they want to give you flowers, they want to work with you. And looking by Nipsey's work, you can tell that was very much to his authenticity. It's just how sure he was of himself.
yeah, I think he was the first one to like not technically charge for his albums. He said, I'll put it out and you give me what you think it's worth, kind of thing, for one of his albums. And
I
average-
absolutely love that.
yeah, people ended up giving him like $43 per album was what the average turned out to be.
Mm.
People are like, don't do that. Like, they're just going to download it. He's like, they're going to steal it anyway if they don't fucking respect me. So, like, I forget which one, but I think when it all averaged out, and he didn't put it out on a label, so he got every one of them damn dollars, not 0.5 cents or whatever you get for an album.
No,
sale.
yeah.
Yeah.
The royalties,
Yeah.
the splits, all that crap.
I think,
That's changing a lot.
yeah, 100%. I think it was maybe his Crenshaw album or his Slauson Boy 2 album. I think it was the time when CDs were going out and streaming was coming a part of music. And Nipsey wanted to prove that he could still, move CDs. So I think he put a price point of like $100 on the CDs because he knew the worth of them. And he still sold out because he knew that the
Yeah.
worth behind it, the value behind it was worth it. And to be honest, like if you listen back to his albums,
Mm.
especially his album Victory Lap, I look at that album like a book, like a personal development book about business, about mindset, about getting your mind straight, getting your business straight. So like I love music, I love hip hop. So some albums I look at like the all personal development books, the all self-help books, and Victory Lap is definitely my favorite album book.
There's one that always sticks out in my mind when someone talks about it's influential, and it's of somewhere near that time frame. And it's when Lauryn Hill of the Fugees came out with her live set with MTV. And when she did that entire unplugged set, her discussions about reality and how she viewed life were phenomenal, groundbreaking, eye-opening. She was on the precipice of so much and was so wrong during that entire set that it made me look at her completely different my entire life. I've always just went right back to her because of that exact reason. She marched to the beat of her own drum.
Yeah.
And they try to silence her too. She like
Yeah.
lost her record deal after all that stuff, and like they're saying she's crazy. And
She's coming here soon, I think. I told
yeah,
Sharon to
she's,
get tickets.
she's on a tour with the Fugees before that dude goes to prison forever.
Say who, what? Who's going to prison forever?
The third guy, Pross, not Wyclef or Lauryn Hill, he's going to go to prison for some time.
Is Wyclef touring with him?
Yeah, I think it is. It's the Fugees are going to.
Well, then I need to go get tickets quick. I'm going to see Dave Chappelle Sunday.
Oh, awesome. I'll
That'll be
wait for him
fun.
to come to Australia.
And then, dude, I bet he would, man. He's such a cool dude.
Yeah, because he's like for me, he's my goat in terms of comedians. Like I love comedy as well, but I in my top 5 is Andrew
Yeah.
Schultz. If you guys know Andrew Schultz, and he's coming to Australia next month.
Yep.
I can't wait to go see him live because yeah, like his podcast and comedy and just the way he's able to articulate a message as well. Like he's very knowledgeable on a lot of topics as well. So yeah, Andrew Schultz and Dave Chappelle, the way he's able to communicate and storytell is just next level.
I love Anthony Jeselnik. I'm going to see in November as well. Dark Prince of Comedy. That dude is so stinking funny, so deadpan, and he can say the most heinous things that just get you every time. And then, of course, the guys from the roast. Like I miss, like I like Jeff Ross and those guys. Who was it that passed away? Greg Giraldo.
Oh, that guy passed away?
That was Greg Giraldo. He was one of the best ever.
Yeah.
Like that dude was amazing, but another person that dealt with drugs and died very young. We've seen this so many times, especially in the comedian world, because there's a reason why they're burning so bright and so fast, because the opposite side of them is going right along with it. There's not going to be an end game in those scenarios because they're burning as hot as they can because the other side is burning as hot as it is. They have to counteract it.
Yeah.
You end up like, Robin Williams or somebody like that. You burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah, 100%. It's trying to find the balance of doing the work, but also doing the work within yourself as well. It goes back to that external, internal chat we're having before. Hey,
Mindfulness.
yeah,
That is something that, you honestly can't gain from many locations except for meditation and self-awareness. I'd like to say that, there's a certain amount of exercise that can replace it because of the fact that you are doing a meditation and maybe a breathing exercise involved in it, but there's still movement, and movement requires effort, and effort is not the reason for meditating.
yeah,
It's the exact opposite. It's to give in to every single thing possible and watch it like a metronome.
yeah.
It's a huge difference.
That's what I do. I picture
But
myself
then,
sitting back watching my thoughts like a movie. So pretend I'm at a cinema, my thoughts are on the big screen. I just have to watch them, and I don't attach any emotion to any of them. I don't tell any of them to leave. By doing that, I believe, because our primal thought process was to have negative intrusive thoughts come in to keep us alive from like saber-toothed tigers and all that. But now
Oh,
we
yeah.
have these thoughts
I
come
love
up
that.
and we just have to observe them and let them go. Otherwise, if we keep putting stress on those certain thoughts, they're always going to come back to keep us alive. But in today's day and age, we don't need them. So it's just find the way to accept them, become a piece of them, and let them.
I like when they come alive, because when you throw those quotes up, it's very smart to do that, because the life that it's given can be the weirdest shit possible. The ways that things manifest themselves within you will not draw a direct line back to where it came from. You can be doing some weird shit in life that is directly tied to the most nonsensical thing when you were 4 and have no context for the two. But somehow you squeeze that in, and that's how it popped out on the other. So if you think you're going to break down what your issue is, do a root cause analysis, like, oh, well, I was slapped this day, so now every day I'm this way. It's not that easy. It's a knot. I talk about that when I talk about meditation. I like to describe it as a rope or a knot that has been a rope that's been tied so many times that it's in a ball. And when you first start meditating, what happens when you want to untie a knot? It's hard at first. You're sitting there pulling at it, you're pulling away. But then there's that phenomenon. Once you get deeper into it and you've been doing it a little longer, what happens to the knot? It starts to loosen up, starts to come apart easier, easier, easier. And you get to see, oh, the rope came in this way. Oh, it came from that direction. Oh, it's wrapped around this 3 times. It's over this way. You get to see all that. But in order to get a look at the rope, you got to sit down and take the time
Yeah.
to actually examine it.
Yeah, it's a process as well. It's a journey within itself. Because when I first started meditation,
Fun.
before it, I was the type of person I was like, I'd never meditate. Like I couldn't do that. But then I started doing it, and I'm like, holy crap! Like this is the best tool I've ever put practice into. But then probably after maybe a month or two, you start realizing that you're able to drop in a lot quicker. And as further long time goes on, you
Mhm.
can actually drop into meditation so much quicker than you could to begin with. But you got to start somewhere, like with everything.
It really isn't a debilitating process. We look at it so fearful. I think because of the fact that we're afraid of ourselves and the silence. We don't like to be alone with ourselves because then we have to take stock in what's going on.
Mm.
We actually have to look at what these issues are. And we think that we're going to be stuck with them if we're in meditation. But the reality is that we're actually moving them along. We don't go through things as humans. We like to experience them and then carry them for life with weight. We don't just carry them as an experience, we carry them as a lead weight over our shoulder and then actually hold it with our own hand. That's how ignorant it is. And we go running across the countryside with 20 fucking lead balls over our shoulder, thinking that we've gone through shit, that we're better now. But in all reality, we're barely moving 2 miles an hour and we're dragging a fucking sack of balls behind us. It's for you, Gary.
Yeah, I'm all balls.
Sack of balls.
Yeah. You ever go to
I
the
have
shitter without your
balls.
cell phone lately? Like, and just be alone with your thoughts. Like, I end up reading like the back of the shampoo bottle or like the back of the air freshener bottle or like
That's funny you say that. 'Cause
anything
that's
to
something
like
I've
Oh,
been
that
not
was
sit
practicing.
pre-cell phone
there.
bathroom.
Yeah.
It's, it's like never sit there. Like I don't know, nothing's working and like you just got to sit there. It's like it's not like I think bad things or negative things or depressing things. I just like I don't know. It's like I always have to be doing something. I can't just like sit there.
Yeah.
I like now in those silent moments because of what you said earlier. You can drop in a lot quicker now. I can drop in a public environment, everybody's standing around me, and I can take a step into meditation and watch the room live around me, live a non existent make believe life in real time, all around you, people talking, getting up and down, or not thinking, or thinking and in a different world while they're 2 feet away from you. You get to observe the world in a much different manner once you start to do it for a while. And it's a good way to take yourself emotionally out of a situation when you can.
If there's people
Pulling that
100%.
around,
observer cord.
like that's different for me. If there's like some kind of stimulus, like I could, but if it's just like me sitting in a room with nothing else, like I don't know, I need something usually, or it's like drives me crazy.
That's the ultimate question. Why? Why do you need something?
Yeah. Just no, I don't like silence. Like
That's the same question I'd ask myself. Why don't I like silence?
it's like
Because I didn't want to sit in it. Anytime I sat alone in it, I needed to turn on some music. I needed to run around. I could not deal with silence.
Yeah. I believe it took me probably about a year and a half of meditating daily to get comfortable with silence. So I was so used to chaos,
Mhm.
and chaos not just meaning like violence. I mean chaos in the sense of something's going on 24/7, like life is like a tornado. It took me about a year or just over a year of like practicing meditation daily to be like, all right, I can actually enjoy the sounds right now. And now look for pockets in between every day to find that sounds. Like you said, when you're walking through the shopping center, you can take a big, deep breath, like 5 seconds, and really detach from your environment. And now when I'm at home, I try and have moments like that where I just stand outside for 10 seconds, take a big, deep breath, and just enjoy and embrace the moment, and then get back into it. Because I feel like we have to embrace the moments in between when it comes to mindfulness.
Mm,
Because a big misconception is that we have to do it every night, every morning. But yes, that's great. I do that too. There's those moments in between, like you said
mm,
before, Gary, going to the toilet without your phone, like just becoming present in the moment for that, or going outside and feeding the dogs, becoming present in the moment for that instead of being caught up somewhere else. It's like just being where your feet are in these little pockets of moments in life.
mm. being where your feet are is very important. We should put our feet in the grass and stand there for a moment because we're not paying attention to what's going on around us under any circumstances. When we're afraid to be with ourselves, we're not taking care of ourselves. We can't be mentally okay if we're afraid to be with us. And then at the same time, nobody wants to be with someone that's afraid of themselves. After a while, we start to wonder why we're not having the relationships that we want. And the less that we, care for ourselves, or the less we care of, our situation, the people aren't going to come near us. Why would they?
Yeah.
I think that's why I go back to that lighthouse scenario. Love yourself, stand up, be the best that you can be. And then the rest of it kind of wraps around you. It builds around you and it comes to you versus trying to run down some path that somebody else did first.
Yeah, 100%. I heard Jay say before as well about your mindfulness or meditation practices, Gary. Like, what does that look like for you?
I punch shit a lot.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
no,
like it.
I like a lot of it's making music.
Yeah.
There you go.
When I
That's a great one.
start, I got all the equipment here, and when I get into like making a beat and like getting it perfect, like in my mind, perfect, like I'm dialed into every snare and every kick, and like I'm only thinking, like I'm not even thinking about the music so much. It's like kind of like my mind goes blank in a way, and I'm just kind of like I'm only focused on just the noise, the taps and the booms and the snaps, and I'm not thinking about
That's meditation.
the show I got to go do or who pissed me off earlier in the day, or
Nope.
I'm just the rhythm of that beat, and like, and I mean, I'll look up and it's been 5 or 6 hours sometimes, and like don't even realize that. I didn't think about one other thing in that moment. Not like I'm hungry, not like I take a shit, like not that something's due tomorrow, or it's kind of like
Oh.
in the same way when I'm boxing too. Like if I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to like get a double jab, right hook to the body, like a 4-punch combo, and try to get that perfect today. If I'm just I'll punch and punch and punch until my arms don't work anymore. And I was not thinking about one other thing. And it's not, I used to like just beat the shit out of it to get the aggression out, which I'll do occasionally. But this was just like, all right, I'm going to focus on like really snapping this jab and like getting it just perfect. And then just like, till I'm tired. And then I was just in the moment. I was interviewing a fighter like a few days ago, and he's like really into a lot of this meditation and stuff. We'll have him on the show, but he was talking about like there's no more in the moment than in the cage or the ring or the octagon. He's like, you can't be anywhere else. You're not thinking about your taxes or whatever. When there's
That'd be
a
locked in.
265-pound man trying to take your block off, like you're just in it, like living in the moment. It's true.
That's why you got to love what you're doing.
Yeah.
You got to love what you're doing. I was telling Caroline earlier today, if you're a painter, if you care about what people think of your painting, you're probably looking over your shoulder and your painting's not going to be great. If you don't care what other people think in your painting because you love to paint, then it'll be beautiful and you won't give a shit what anybody said behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't compare as well, like with your own work or your own
Fuck
art.
comparing.
The famous saying is comparison is the theft of joy. So the more you compare your own work with other people, the more you steal your own eternal happiness.
Yeah.
Still judgment, thou shalt not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty heavy tenet. When you judge something, you put weight on it. You also take away from something else. It's kind of like benchmarking a room. When you walk in and you say, oh, I feel fat today. You know you're not, or you know you are. But all you're doing is you're letting everybody in the room know that they're on either side of that mark. So if they're smaller or bigger than you, they're automatically worse off no matter what. Even if you didn't go in there with weight as your problem, it might have been the fact that you don't care like how your hair looks. But if you announce weight first, nobody's looking at hair. You're setting fucking tones for the room, right? Those benchmarks will fuck people up. You can't compare things. The moment that you give somebody something to shoot for, they're going to have to knock something else down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's tough now too. Cause like, growing up, I had the people in my neighborhood and like 3 channels on TV to like really see what the fuck was going on. So everyone in my neighborhood we're in the same boat. We weren't very rich, like same, but now it's like you look at Instagram and all these other things and most of it's all fake anyway, but everyone seems to have more than you, or, be better looking or in better shape or have a better car or have more money or go on better vacations. Like, if you start looking at those kind of things, like you're never going to be content. And like kids these days, like that, I didn't get a Nintendo till they were into like past
It's
Super
space.
Nintendo, or whatever. And I didn't know, like, whatever, like we didn't give a shit, and my bike sucked, but whatever, it got me to my homie's house, like didn't care. But now it's like every kid sees what all the rich kids have or what they don't have. And then you get people put you down on lying about it. Or like, you had beef with someone at school, you could just go home when I was a kid. Now they nail you on social media and fucking,
Fuck,
it's
man.
like, I think
Deep fake your ass, do all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff.
like,
It's heinous
this
now.
shit's crazy. Like what kids have to deal with now. Like we just fought each other, and usually like that would solve a lot of issues. The older we got, guns and violence got worse, but for the most part, it was just like, now they try to get you to like off yourself. They won't just fight you. They'll like try to torment you to fucking death. It's like,
And I've
it's
seen
crazy
that with
shit.
my work, with the young people I work with. Like, you can get people to bully you, so they won't have to do the violence to you, but they want to convince you to kill yourself. And it's so sad to see, because they're not just harassing you on Facebook, but then they're harassing you on Snapchat, Instagram, like text messages, phone calls. Like, there's so many different ways. And young people
Bombing your work, all sorts of
bombing their
shit.
work, and as young people, like, their life is attached to social media, or attached to their phones now, because they grew up with it. So they find it very hard to disengage and disconnect from that world. But then when they get into that world, it's just absolute utter chaos for them.
It's a slot machine of happiness, pain, sadness, anger, all those things on a wheel. And you're just spinning it in front of your face. And you have to have these micro emotions that you have to go up and down and ride this roller coaster of a slot machine and expect to stay sane. Human mind is not designed to do that. You're literally taking 100 years worth of experiences and ramming it in 30 seconds in your eyes and riding the roller coaster up and down with them. Somebody's dying in this video, you're going to know what it's like to feel like to die for a few minutes. Somebody's farting on their wife, that's going to be funny as shit.
You watch that too?
The next one, somebody's starving. That was me. Yes. It's such a weird wheel of fucking emotions that how can you stay sane? And if you're an impressionable young mind, you're fucked.
Yeah. I think it goes back.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like just tell all children just give up. It's over.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like the
Agreed.
try to figure out what's
No.
real and what's not. I mean, we just had to like
Yeah.
figure out if wrestling was real when I was a kid. Like now it's like nothing you see is real, like in
Yeah.
front of you. So how do you
Nothing's
deal
real.
with that shit?
It goes back to like that talk we had earlier with about Nipsey Hussle. It's about being so sure of yourself that anything that happens around you doesn't impact who you believe you are.
That's rock solid and a very hard place for people to be, and the shortest drop to get to. To be yourself is fucking easy.
Yeah.
You literally have to get up, breathe, and walk, do your day. All the efforts that you put in simply picking out clothes, most of the people in the world are not picking them out for themselves. They're picking them out for the adulations or the way that someone will look at them for what they have on. If you're starting your day out creating a character for other people to love, they're never going to know who the fuck you are. Because you don't. I didn't for so many years. I got a suit on. Well, he must know himself now because that means he has money or a good job. He's mature. No, I'm standing with a bunch of immature people pretending to be this particular person, just like the rest of them. We're all just fucking pretending. Once we figure that out, there's a reason why monks and tribes say, oh, they're insane. They're not saying that because we're running around fucking screaming. They're saying that because we fly to other countries and take naps.
What was that word you used? Adulations?
Yes. That's the word of the day.
I got to Google shit
Like
with him
Pee
all
Wee
the
Herman.
time.
Ah. Is that how I did it back then when they said the word of the day? They would scream.
What was that, Non? You can't do that?
Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, yeah, Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman. But You Can't Do That on Television was an amazing show. That Alanis Morissette came from that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
It's not that great. It's like,
It's very old and
How,
It was a kids sketch show on Nickelodeon back in the day when they first started doing them. It was
probably
decent,
early 90s.
different. Yeah, late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around there. Definitely wasn't singing Jagged Little Pill or about going down on somebody in a theater then. Can tell you that.
Oh, that's what she sings about now?
That's what she did sing about. You've never heard Alanis Morissette's music?
I mean, I have, but I don't like.
Yeah. Does she go down on you in a theater?
It's not something I remember the words to really.
Yeah.
She had a couple
So
hits.
let's lighten this for a moment. I feel like Australia is Florida's cousin. You guys have a lot of the same situations here and animals and shit.
Especially Queensland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what is something that we should know about Australia that we don't?
Well, that's a
Or Queensland or where you're from? Where's something that you could tell us that we should know, but we don't know?
we don't ride kangaroos to school.
Or something that'll surprise us? What's
We-
that? You don't ride kangaroos to
Yeah.
school? Yeah, we
It's
don't.
an after-school activity.
Yeah,
Surely.
exactly. Not to school. It's just coming home from school.
We do have a very small bucket of things that we associate with Australia, and it is kangaroos, koalas, and Foster's beer. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know after that.
And they don't like Foster's.
Didgeridoo.
So, like where I
But we also think
Yeah.
that all Asians are Chinese too in America. There's no real diversity in people's minds here.
Yeah, what I'm not sure of like what the perception is overseas of Australia because I've lived here for so long now. But I say where I live because I live in Brisbane. So right next to me is the Gold Coast, if you've heard it, and also the Sunshine Coast. So within about a 30-minute radius, you can be on the beach, then you'll be in the city, then you'll be in the rainforest, and then you'll be in the desert, all within like a 30 to 60-minute drive. So like everything's kind of jam
That's
packed.
pretty cool.
Yeah, and 90% of Australians or 95% of Australians live on the coast of Australia, which is unreal.
Wow. So that's a lot of frontier.
Yeah, the middle is
Yeah.
just nothing, right?
Just
It's
desert.
just like fuck.
It's everything will
Desert.
kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got some good friends in Brisbane. I've been trying to get over there for a long time. Just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, once you come down,
They've told me the same.
yeah, once you come down, I'll be able to show you around to some places as well because like I've lived
Oh,
in
we should
other
do a
places.
trip. We should do a show and
Yeah, come do a show on my studio. That'd be epic.
I'd do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd love to go to Australia.
Yeah, we could definitely do
Absolutely.
like you know, the MMA show that we could do there would be epic because I could get a lot of good fighters from that area to come on for sure.
The
Volkanovski.
islands around there too are probably full of them.
Yeah, I've worked with him a lot. Unfortunately, didn't go his way this week, but he's a really good dude.
Yeah.
And I think Beck Rollins is a good friend of mine. She's from Brisbane, and then a real good friend of mine.
She's insane.
Yeah, she's nuts, but she seems more nuts
I
than
love
she
her,
really
but
is. Like she looks crazy and shit, but like it's kind of her look. But I mean, she is crazy, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
And then
No.
I got a really good friend, Justin, that he ran a bunch of MMA promotions in Australia for years. He lives in Brisbane too.
Yeah, there's loads of
Yeah, I
good
got
fighters coming out of
quite a few
Australia at the
friends.
moment. You know Jack Jenkins as well?
I know who he is. Yeah,
Yeah. So like him, Volk, Adesanya, even though he's more so in New Zealand. But yeah, Australia, it's really good to see them, like Australia having that culture of getting behind their own as well. Because I feel like in
Oh,
the
they
past,
do, yeah.
Australia didn't really have that much like decades ago. But now there's a lot of superstars coming out of Australia, like even soccer with Sam Kerr and like in all different sports. It's really good to see.
Yeah, Australia's young.
Yeah.
People forget that.
Super young.
Australia's young, just like the US. We don't have a history. Our history is borrowed from our past in other areas, just like Australia. So I can see why that is huge to see your people actually supporting your people in these moments.
Yeah.
yeah, they're about it. Like you know if an Australian's fighting, you definitely the chants are they got the soccer chant thing going. I know like I worked with Robert Whitaker a lot and a lot of different Australian guys, and they're fans. It's a long trip over here, but if a Australian guy's the main event, it's more Australian fans than whoever they're fighting, no matter who it is. And
Yeah.
it's like
I love that.
20 hours to get here or something like that.
And it's also like it blows my mind.
I don't go 20 hours for nobody.
How big Australia is, but how little people live here. It's like in the comparison, United Kingdom, which is like England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland, All that combined together, you can fit 11
Mhm.
of those just in Queensland itself. And Queensland's just the east coast or southeast coast of Australia. So Australia is bigger than Europe as well. Like it's massive, but only 26 million people live here. Like it's unreal.
There and again, everything will kill you there. That's why they don't want to live there.
Yeah, I knew it was big, but damn, that's like
I've actually got a funny
that's
story for you.
Like, I think it's beautiful.
I was at the beach.
Yeah,
I
please.
was at the beach last weekend with my friend, and just the main beach where I live on this near the Sunshine Coast, and some guys with a fishing rod, he's just fishing on the beach, like where the surf lifesaver flags are. Anyway, his line starts going crazy and his rod's bending, and I'm sitting there like 5 meters away from him, like, oh, what's he got here? Anyway, he pulls in a 4 foot bull shark, and bull sharks are the most aggressive sharks in Australia. So he pulls out the water where everyone's swimming, takes a hook out of it, takes a photo of it, and just puts it straight back in the water where everyone's swimming. I was sitting there mind blown, like, what is happening right now?
so he
That's like the realest man
yeah,
ever.
he just let it go.
Did he like clean a knife with his tongue?
Yeah.
Throw it to the ground and then like, pick a hand roll a cigarette and then tell you something about life.
But the thing is, like
4 foot.
everyone in the water saw him
This is
go
Sam
and put the
Elliott.
shark back in the water, and no one even moved or freaked out.
Jesus.
And I was just like, yeah, I didn't go back in the water after that. I was like, I'm going home.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey guy, could you wait a minute till I like get the fuck out of the water here? Like,
Literally.
At least wait till I'm done peeing and I can walk back out of the ocean.
Yeah,
Don't
literally.
throw that in here yet.
yeah, sometimes that's the only reason I go in. I'll be at the beach until I gotta pee, and then I'll go like waist deep and then come back out.
Oh man, see, that's why I don't go in public
Yeah,
pools.
I didn't say I did it in the pool.
You just
That says
summed it
the
all up
ocean.
right
You know how many
there.
animals shit in the ocean?
Doesn't
I
matter.
also do that
but
in a
they
pool.
do the same thing in
Well,
the
I do
public
the same
pool.
thing in the pool, but I wasn't going to say it.
I think we all secretly do.
No, man, I can't go in it. That's why, like, you don't go to the swim up bar at the all inclusive place
Oh,
under
yeah,
any
you sit
circumstances
there.
because those dudes have been there for 4 hours. It's just
Yeah,
soup.
you see people just
By that
chilling.
point, you might as well just go lick the bottom of the Red Sox
Yeah,
urinal.
oh god, why the Red Sox? So,
It's-
yeah.
I don't know. It just sounded extra gross.
But you're right, man. I've worked on TV shows at pools, and I've been to those resorts, and you'll see someone there on their 12th beer on that stool. It's never got out, and every man knows what it's like. It's impossible to drink
I'm not
12 beers and
going
not
near
have
you.
to pee. Like
Yeah.
2 max, and you're just peeing that every 10 minutes for the rest of the day.
No, I'm not going near you. I'm not going near that bar. I don't. You guys can all sit there in it and pretend like it's not happening, but I promise you, every single one of you smell like asparagus
Oh, yeah,
right
that
now.
dehydrated fucking Mountain Dew looking asparagus pee. Yeah.
Just sitting there like 4 days into it. All they're doing is drinking away a hangover every day they're at that resort.
Literally.
So it's not a good day for them. Each day they're just trying to quell the throb.
Yeah,
like
you could
Stan
like
comes out the
drink
water.
different on vacation though. Like if I were to drink for 6 hours
No,
today,
I don't drink.
like
so
I would be such dog shit tomorrow. But if I was in the Bahamas, I'd wake up fine and just go do it again. And like not even,
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Don't
where
like
you're at, eh?
I can't do it anymore.
yeah.
What's that?
It's kind of like where you're at. Like on vacation, it feels like I can handle it more than if I'm just around my own town.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know why. Maybe it's the excitement.
It's
of being
amazing that you
somewhere.
could even feel. Yeah. The fact that you can even feel better by a location should tell you that it's you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it all comes back
We
to
take
self.
things to different places all the time.
I was
Yeah.
I was in Bali years ago, and we had to get up at like really late, I think, or early, I forget what it was, to watch an NFL game. And I was with my Swedish friend, but he had lived here a long time. So we're watching this game, and then ended up drinking like for a good amount of time after. And the bartender's like, "You should probably leave pretty soon." I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Why?" They're like, "Aussie Rules football is coming on." I'm like, "Oh, I've never watched that." And they're like,
Bye.
"It's like you should just probably go back to your resort." And I was like, I don't get it. And she's like, "All right."
Oi,
And then you
oi,
start hearing
oi.
that like bar, and you can hear it coming closer. And before you know it, like you look out, and there's like 60 people coming down the middle of the road to
Well, you
like
gotta
headbutting
think
each
about
other
it,
and
man.
shit. Like the most stereotypical thing you could probably think of. And it was like a big game for them. I don't know.
Oh, that's
playoffs
beautiful.
out exactly. Like they just take over this bar, and they weren't like
Yeah,
trying to fuck with me or like they didn't start any fights. They were just so rowdy, man. Like they're just
yeah.
like,
That's Australians when they
You
get
got to
drunk.
think about it though. The hooligans started in England And then you got all those soccer hooligans over in England that all went to Australia when they got kicked out of there. You can only imagine how much rowdier you can be as a fan of another sport that you're allowed to clobber each other in.
Especially in Bali as well. Bali's like Australia's Europe, like the first destination they go to for a holiday.
Yeah,
They're just full of Aussies.
it was like Aussies and a few British people I met there, and a few Americans, but mostly Australian people were like the vacationers.
And Pacific Islanders too, man. There's a lot of Pacific Islanders in that area that play like football and or Australian rules
Those are
football
big
too,
dudes.
right?
Yeah, they play rugby.
Those guys are
Yeah.
huge. Rugby, yeah. Screw that, dude. Those guys are massive.
Yeah, that's
I
the
got
thing
some
with
friends.
Australia. There's so many sports that are massive. Like in Australia, there's not one sport that everyone watches. Probably similar to America with football and baseball and basketball. Like we have
It is,
we have
yeah.
AFL, which is the Australian football. We have rugby, and then also UFC is a massive thing now. Also the soccer as well. Like there's so many different sports that everyone watches. It's like a big divide. There's rarely you get people that watch two different sports. Everyone's usually very
I thought
passionate about the
rugby
one.
was Australian rules football.
No, so Australian rules.
Did I
No, so rugby is NRL, so National Rugby League. But then we have Australian Football League, which is like the egg-shaped ball where they run and bounce it, and they just tackle each other the whole game. It looks pretty messy.
That's not rugby? I thought it was just rugby, but
Nah,
they were just throwing it too.
it's their own sport that they made up.
It's still
Yeah, it's like
AFL, it's called.
it's just another
Yeah,
it's like a half rugby, half American
and
football.
there's a
Yeah,
game
it's
we used to
just
play as a
like-
kid
it's-
with like a derogatory name, and it's kind of like that as well.
yeah. So AFL is like rugby, but you can hit people and get away with it more. So it's a bit more violent, if you will.
Australia is the kissing cousin of America.
I get along really well with
It
Australians.
really
Nobody
is.
talks shit better than Australians either. Like their shit talking
Oh.
Yeah.
ability is second to none.
That's all people do, like
I love
friends. Like if you go to a pub in Australia and see a bunch of mates, all they're doing is just ripping shreds off each other, ripping into each other. Like it's just the way they have banter, never laugh.
Isn't
Yeah,
that what you're
you are.
supposed to do?
Yeah,
Like when Volkanovski came on the show, you know, within 2 minutes, me and him were just ripping each other, making short jokes, and then his fucking coach starts ripping on both of us for both being short, and then we started making fun of him because his haircut was fucked up, and like it was just like we became instant friends, like within 2 seconds, just because we just immediately started talking shit to each other. Like, but they let me have it. I'm pretty good. Like, I grew up in an Italian
Yeah.
barber shop, and like in Cleveland, like we talked shit like 100% of the time. So I got a pretty good banter game. But these guys, man, a couple of times I was just didn't know what to say, and I was like, fuck.
I love that though. I love when I get like when somebody brings the fire. When you can break somebody down and all laugh together, that's the best.
yeah, it is.
That's the absolute best. That's like the military too. When I was in the military, that's what you did. You just busted each other's balls. There's nothing else to do.
Constant ball breaking. You know, it's like it works though. Like you know, if you're cool with it and you got a thick skin, like you know, it works to like make friends and like not worry about the bullshit. You know, it's like guys get
Exactly.
along pretty
Yeah.
well, I think, for
So
the most
true.
part.
Like,
So if you could choose one guest since you've started this whole endeavor, who would you choose to be the best example of what you're trying to accomplish? What episode would that be?
this episode was a lot more in depth because he's a very research person, but his name's Dr. Mark Williams, and he's a cognitive neuroscientist in Australia. He worked over at MIT in
Mm.
America for years and running their cognitive neuroscience department. And he was just a wealth of knowledge, 25 years doing research around cognitive function. So if someone wants to learn more about their own mind, their own brain, how to get their dopamine working, health police serotonin, like everything to do with the brain and brain health, I recommend listening to my episode with Dr. Mark Williams.
That's cool.
I love that. I love that. We've had a couple of good doctors on that have talked about some amazing things. One of them was because on the same wavelength as understanding the human mind and evolution, things like that. We had Dr. Hogan Shiro on, and he was part of the team that created the series on Netflix called Chimp Empire. And Amazing. He's a primatologist, and they were working with what's the place in Gogo in Africa. It's one of the largest chimp things out there. But when you were watching it, the way he described it, like at first he was describing how all these chimps interact and, the human tendencies and the different, societal or cultural things that they do within their troops and groups, because they really do have like all the emotions that we do. But when he was explaining how they lived, like adults with children still playing, adult chimps when they leave away from it, just walking to go somewhere, start doing cartwheels and rolling just because they're enjoying life and things like that. So when he was breaking things down like that and then talking about genders, all sorts of stuff, it was so cool to see like the, you know, the wizard behind the curtain. It's like, what is actually making our brain do these things? And you get to see that it starts way back when.
Yeah.
Because Gary and I were talking about rain dances, right? For whatever reason, the word rain dance came up and we were talking about it. And then the next day on Chimp Empire, chimps were doing rain dances. That struck me a little odd. I was like, wow, that's weird. I was like, they do rain dances. I know another creature on this planet that does rain dances. I know there's people that have been doing precipitation, types of dances since the dawn of time to try to facilitate changes in reality or, better outcomes for the future, whatever it is. But there they are right there doing their dance for the rain. I was like, that's pretty badass. I was like, also, it's a little bit of a tell.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. That's
100%.
they have like animals have like dogs and shit can tell when it's about to rain, and stuff like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
They have
yeah,
sense.
like
Because
their
they're not
senses are,
thinking.
like,
Yeah.
They're not thinking. They're not wasting their mind on things that don't exist. They're not thinking about yesterday. They're not thinking about tomorrow. They're thinking about thinking. They're thinking about the smells in the room. They're thinking about the sounds going on around. They're so far ahead of their non-thinking that they know when things are going to happen in advance. They have feelings, intuitions. They did a study on dogs where their owners would leave them at home and that in an undisclosed time would make the decision to return home. And at that point, they would look at what the dogs were doing. The dogs would start to change their emotions. They'd start moving. They'd start facing the doors. They'd start doing all these things based off the simple fact that their owner had made the cognitive decision at that moment to return home.
it's interesting.
The thing is, too, like they're not overstimulated either. So they're actually able to tune into their senses
Yes.
and be present. So I feel like as a human, especially in 2023, was super overstimulated.
You're 100% right. They're not looking at it Facebook.
Yeah, scrolling TikTok.
If dogs knew how much the neighborhood groups talked about their poop, they would fucking think
Oh,
they were
yeah,
famous.
That's a hot topic. You see that poop DNA shit that they have now?
Just everybody's bitch.
Yeah, it's like you
Oh, do they re-
could like someone's dog shitting in your yard. You could collect the shit. Like where Sal lives, like I think if you have a dog, you have to like give a sample of your dog's poop. And then if it's like caught, if they find shit somewhere, they like get it analyzed and they can bust me for it.
That's unreal.
It's a real thing.
You imagine someone going around like sampling dog
What
poo
dog
on
Yeah,
the
there's
shit
book.
on
somebody
my
that's
stuff, but
their
that's
job
funny.
is
Yeah.
to like fucking scoop the poop and like have it analyzed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It's like a real
I
thing.
mean, I was going to say there could be worse jobs, but
Yeah.
that sounds
Ew.
pretty shitty. But
That's
it's
it's like I don't even know. Like, why is there a need for that? Like, just pick up your dog's shit.
Dog poo
It's like,
epidemic.
God.
people don't like
I'm
to
just talking
talk
about
about the
pick up your
fact
own
that they're going to
dog's
die
shit.
one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why we do all this. We don't want to have the conversation about why we're here. So we pick up dog shit and do DNA tests and make fucking Whoppers or salads smell like Whoppers and fucking other weird shit like that. Like, we're just stupid animals running around with like chickens with our heads cut off. There's no reason to do 99% of the shit that we do.
Just fill in space.
We are, dude. We're just filling space. Avoid.
Yeah.
It's just a void. You don't want to talk about it? Don't want to talk about it. Okay. So we'll just make up something new. What's the
Dog
newest
poop
job we
tester.
can create? Like we create things to create things. I was thinking about this the other day. CVS, right? The local pharmacy here in America has like this whole fucking giant loyalty reward program thing where they'll give you like 20 keychain tags and a receipt the size of the fucking Declaration of Independence, all sorts of shit. They give you all this stuff so you can get points to knock the price off of something at some point in time while you're there. Why don't we just drop the price of everything? There's like whole departments for this shit. There's cars and people are livelihoods. There's careers. There's fucking departments. All this stuff is being created for what they could have done was just drop everything
but,
10
like,
cents
they're
and call
trying
it
to
a
get
day.
people to go there. Like, I've caught myself doing
Like,
it
it's
before.
so
Like,
weird.
on my Amex, like on the platinum card, there's like levels, and it's like you get to the next one, you get so much more off this or like whatever the case may be. And I've like bought shit before to like put my points over.
Yeah, but not Skittles and
Yeah,
a
but it's
fucking
like-
birthday card for your Nana. Like, you're not trying
but
to
it's
finagle.
dumb. But like I'm like,
that.
but a lot of it's like I want to get the travel perks, like upgrades and stuff. But it's like I only
that I
use
get.
my
Yeah.
Amex, and I like try to fly Delta as much as possible because they have the best like rewards program, like in my opinion. So they got me like spending $100 more to fly Delta instead of American to maybe get $6 of something in 2 years off of that decision, and I know they're doing it to me. But I think it's the same thing. Like CVS is like giving you better rewards, and there's one right next to every Walgreens, and they're all in the same neighborhood everywhere in America. It's like maybe become a CVS guy instead of a Walgreens guy.
Huh? Maybe that's how it works.
Yeah.
I think honestly, you just like the Delta wings they give you when you come on the plane, and you've got a whole
that,
fucking
and I
carton
like
of
the
them, and you've been
lounge.
collecting them.
Like I like to go into a clean bathroom at an airport or take a shower if I want to
Yeah.
for no reason. Because airport public bathrooms, I do it all the time. Just
Have you
because I
taken a
can.
shower at the airport? Oh, so
I
you're
do.
one of those people that
I try to use
uses
every
the
free amenity
amenities.
they give me there. Like
Like squeeze the
No, I
take the whole
shampoo,
thing.
even if you didn't use it. Like,
I'll do that, especially if I'm flying internationally. I look for the closest amenities to
Oh,
use.
yeah.
But domestic, well, Australia, we don't really fly too far, so it's usually just hop on for an hour,
Yeah.
hop off.
if you're gonna come across the pond and you could get one of them beds or something, that's a game
yeah, fuck
changer.
that.
Like
Is it like 6 hours from east to west for
yeah,
America?
about 5 and change.
A flight?
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It's just enough to annoy you time change
That's
wise
for people that are those sleeping types.
because we've got,
Is it a big difference of time?
you
Three
don't
hours.
sleep, dude.
Oh, yeah.
3 hours,
Is it-
4
I don't think
hours,
it's
depending
ever
on the
4
time of
hours,
year.
is it? No.
California to the, isn't it? California
I
and
don't think
Florida
so.
can go 4-hour difference. I thought, oh, maybe I'm wrong.
It's
then.
the
Who
same.
knows?
Yeah. East to west side
Whatever.
of Australia, I believe, is about 3 hours difference.
Yeah. It just like if you're working
Looks
with
about
people
the
on
same.
either coast,
Yeah.
that's when it's a bitch. Like when I'm working with ESPN, they're in New York, I'm in West Coast time. So they start, blowing you up at 6 a.m. your time, 9 a.m. their time. And then you're trying to get shit done at 6 here, but
Yeah.
it's already 9 p.m. there. So they've stopped answering. So it's kind of like those 3 hours on either side, like really add like 6 hours to your day, or like some frustration of having to get up earlier, like, or staying late to like get something done. So it's
We do a lot of international work
That's even
like that
worse.
constantly with like India and Japan. And dude, I'd forever be opposite schedule trying to get shit done. Sleep hygiene is important too.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about mental health, sleep hygiene is one of the pillars to
Like clean
getting
sheets?
yourself on the straight and narrow mentally. Yeah. that helps too. It probably contributes to the amount of sleep that you get. But no, I have toddler times. Like my doctor has given me, no, you need to be in bed by this time. That's it. Otherwise I start falling apart.
It's so important. That's why I always try and aim for 7 to 8 hours. If I get at least 7 hours of sleep, I feel great. But anything before 7, I feel horrible. Anything after 8, I feel like I've overslept. Like 7 to 8 is like the perfect sweet spot, I
Hmm.
find.
Absolutely. Well, I'm not going to hold you too long into your day. We're getting later into ours, so we'll be going to bed and you'll be taking on the day. Ryan, why don't you take a moment, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find the show, where they can get your cool gear.
So the best place to go would just be Instagram, because then I have a link tree which will get you everywhere else for the podcast. So just go on the Instagram. There's at One Talk, ONETALK, and then underscore. Then from there on, just feel free to reach out, start a conversation, or feel free to check out the podcast. But best to start at the Instagram page.
I like that. It's a good place to catch all of your clips and see what each guest is all about. It's a good idea to start there. I appreciate you, Ryan. Gary, you got anything you want to close up
Not
with?
really. I think I would just say, like, people don't a lot of times watch TV or listen to podcasts or stuff from like other countries. And I would like to get more international fans coming this way. And I would encourage people that are listening to check out not only
Mm.
Ryan's, start there, but like to look, because especially Americans, we don't travel much. We don't really look. We have so much here. We don't look for other things from other countries,
Mhm.
but there's so many different perspectives and cool shit out there that, like, you could start with his podcast because it's great, and then just explore a little more. Even if you can't get up and physically go somewhere, like check out other countries' stuff on the internet or read their books or check out their music, because we get stuck here in the States, and whether it's economical or we think we're better than everybody or
I love
whatever the
that.
case may be, why people don't look outside of our country, they should definitely do it. Because every time I meet somebody from a different country, like, they always have something cool I never heard of before, or a different perspective, or you'll find out that they have the exact same perspective as you do, which will, yeah, except for Vegemite.
Vegemite.
But
Yeah.
yeah, just expand your circumference. If it can't do it physically, there's a window in front of you to the world at all times, or in your hand. Use it for that sometimes. That's it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I dig that. Caroline, you got some stuff we're supposed to wrap up with? Are you ready?
Yeah, do you just want me to talk
Yeah,
about
you can
Into
just
the
tell them what
AM?
we're supposed to be doing.
All right.
Do
Yeah.
the adult stuff.
So Jay is always rocking the freshest teas, and that is from Into the AM. You guys can find that link on our Instagram page. So go ahead, click the Into the AM link, see what cool teas and other just graphic things that they have, and grab one. That'll, of course, help the Tragedy Academy podcast. Give us some funding and let us get more cool content out there for you guys. So if you want more, give a little bit, go get yourself a cool tea, and we'll keep delivering. So, and of course, thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. It was kind of like a pain in the butt scheduling from Florida to Australia, but you pulled through, and I couldn't be more grateful. And I
Okay.
know Jay and Gary feel the same way. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank you, Caroline.
Yeah.
She's a champ, man. She really digs in and goes out there and finds guests that normally we wouldn't get from other places. So, and they're always off the beaten path, which I prefer.
I appreciate all of your time as well
Heck yeah.
for having me on this platform, but also everyone taking the time out of the day to build this connection and have this awesome conversation. So cheers having me on. Appreciate you all.
Likewise, brother. I genuinely appreciate you. Remember, everybody, be cool and keep learning. All right, you can go ahead and hit and unrecord all those.
All right.